Summit here in Colonial Williamsburg. We are excited about today. I want to thank you for being here and supporting this event, but most importantly, I want to thank you for what you're doing to contribute to the economy of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I will go over kind of the schedule in just a minute, but I do want to thank our morning break sponsor, and that is Virginia Nuclear Energy Consortium. And I'm going to ask Sama to come up, the chair of the Virginia Nuclear Energy Consortium, and say a few words about why they support this event. I will say we have 9 focus areas in the blueprint. One of them is energy, and she'll talk a little bit about their consortium. Please thank them for sponsoring and welcome her to the stage.
Good morning. On behalf of the Virginia Nuclear Energy Consortium, I want to join Beret Dual in welcoming you to the 8th Annual Virginia Economic Summit. The Virginia Nuclear Energy Consortium, VNEC, is a proud member of the Virginia Chamber. VNEC was established by a Virginia statute in late 2013 and began operating in January 2015. Our mission is to sustain and enhance the Commonwealth of Virginia as a national and global leader in nuclear energy. And also, we want to serve as an interdisciplinary business development, research, training, and information resource when it comes to nuclear energy issues. So our members, who you see behind me, include institutions of higher education, electric utility companies, nuclear supplier, and of course, the U.S. Nuclear Navy shipyards at Newport News. VNEC very much appreciates the Chamber's commitment to energy diversification throughout the original blueprint that I think that you all are very familiar with. And as you will see later today, this support will continue in the Blueprint Virginia 2025. So as you know, nuclear energy is key to Virginia's economy and a very important component of our energy mix. Nuclear energy produces almost 40% of our electricity 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and it does that economically and without greenhouse gas emissions or any other water or air pollution. As you know, energy is the underlying force that powers our economy, and the fact that Virginia has a reliable and economic electricity supply is essential to encourage businesses, manufacturing companies, and these very large data centers to move into our state and stay here. So creating high-paying jobs and economic development. So these are some of the reasons why VNEC supports continued investment in our existing nuclear facilities to keep them up to date and to extend their operating life so they will continue to provide clean, reliable, and affordable electricity to all Virginians. So our Virginia nuclear energy industry is also a very important economic enterprise in its own right, generating thousands of high-paying jobs and exporting Virginia's nuclear energy products and services all over the US, but also all over the world. And of course, our nuclear shipyards, as you know, in Newport News build our submarines and our aircraft carriers for our nuclear fleet. So also, you probably I don't know if you know this, but Virginia is home to 2 out of only 30 nuclear engineering programs that currently exist in the US, so that is a big accomplishment. And the nuclear education and research opportunities available in our state colleges and universities are second to none. The Virginia universities and national laboratories have developed unique expertise and capabilities and are pursuing very innovative and cutting-edge research and to continue advancing nuclear science and engineering. And just as importantly, we are also educating the next generation of nuclear professionals who will have access to these very well-paid high-tech jobs. And this is part of the reason why VNEC also shares the Blueprint Virginia 2025 top priority, which is workforce development, which is vitally important to grow in our sectors. So in partnership with the Virginia Energy Workforce Consortium and the Virginia Community College Systems, VNEC recently released a white paper entitled Solutions to Support Energy in the New Virginia Economy. So this paper and the energy workforce policy recommendations that we include in this paper stem from a summit that we had in spring 2017, just a few months ago, attended by over 100 educators, energy industry leaders, and state officials. So one of the key recommendations in this white paper is the creation of a 17th energy careers cluster by the Virginia Department of Education. And this cluster would actually focus on attracting students into critical and high demand careers in energy. So if you want to learn about this some more, please go to our website and please support the creation of this 17th energy cluster if hopefully that's something that you feel is worth your while. So I just going to end my remarks wishing you a very fruitful day. Please enjoy the fantastic program that the Virginia Chamber has put for all of us. And I hope you find very valuable discussions and plenty of opportunities to exchange ideas with a lot of very, very interesting people over here. So hopefully we all will contribute to grow the Commonwealth's economy. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the support. I do want to turn your attention to the program today. And as you're looking at the program, obviously we have a powerful presentation on a variety of topics. You'll hear in a few minutes from Dr. Holsworth the analysis of the most recent election that we have and what are the implications for the business community. And that'll be thought-provoking. It'll be followed by a panel of CEOs and the Secretary of Commerce and Trade, Todd Haymore, regarding some of the successes that we've had, the great place in which Virginia is to do business, and obviously what are the challenges ahead to keep us moving in the right direction. We'll have a break, and then we'll also have a panel that focuses on the new economic development strategies coming forth. And know that's going to be interesting, and that panel will be joined by the new Secretary Designee of Finance, Aubrey Lane, who will be here with us a little bit later. And we're excited about ending our day at 2 o'clock with the governor-elect in the lunchroom, which will be downstairs. And each of you that have assigned tables, your lunch table number will be on your name tag. So that's the day. We'll have a half-hour break in the middle and a half-hour break before lunch. There'll be a networking break. I do want to say that we're excited about this turnout, and I do think it's a result of this year's work on our blueprint, the initiatives around economic development that are happening in the Go Virginia regions, as well as the new initiatives with all of our economic development partners and our chamber partners. This is an important day for us to come together in a unified way as the voice of Virginia business, and it's a reflection of your interest and your willingness to support this process, and really your concern about ensuring Virginia has a bright future. So I want to thank you. Each of you make up a record turnout for us. If I can tell you that, we have 902 people registered today. So thank you very much for being part of this program. If you are discussing this event today on social media, we encourage you to use the hashtag VA Economic Summit, and that is also printed on your program as well. And if you would like to know the detailed bios of the individuals on our panels or our speakers, go to vachamber.com, click on 8th Annual Economic Summit, and their bios will be there. So all of them are important, all of them are well educated, and all of them are successful, and we appreciate them being here today, but we aren't going to take the time to read their bios to you. So if you want to read their bios, it's on our website. And I also want to say we couldn't do an event like this without our sponsors. So I'm going to walk you through how this program is laid out. I want to thank Dominion Energy, and I want to thank Wells Fargo, and I want to thank Williams Mullen, and I'll introduce those individuals later in our program more fully for being our lead sponsors. Also our signature sponsors, Huntington Ingalls and Bill Ermatinger, who is here as the Corporate Vice President, Chief Human Resource Officer, Mid-Atlantic Broadband. We have a couple of their board members here, Charlie Majors and Randy Lale. And also Northrop Grumman, Virginia, I'll introduce her in a little bit, and then Virginia Business Magazine. We appreciate all of their support. Please give them a round of applause. Thank them for supporting this event. And I also want to call your attention to the other sponsors that help us with this event, and the blueprint sponsors, which I'll mention at lunch on the back of the page. that actually underwrote the entire blueprint process, which I'll also talk about more at lunch. And then one of the things I want to bring attention to, and I'm going to ask those here associated with local chambers and our participating hosts to stand, because I think it's important for you to see we are the state chamber, but we're only as strong as the local chambers of commerce are strong. And we have over 50 local chambers that are here today. We have 86 of them that actually belong to the state chamber and an alliance program. So if you're on the board of a local chamber or the CEO of a local chamber, please stand. I'd like to recognize you and give you a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Before I present a special award and bring Senator Norment up for a greeting, I do want to say one last logistical challenge. Because of this room's ability to only hold 700 people, we actually have an overflow room down the hall with 200 chairs, and I've been told food and beverage is actually in that room. So don't you all leave at once. And that room is, also has simulcast, and you should be able to see and hear all the speakers just as effectively as if you're in this room. So especially for the hundreds of you standing in the back, if you'd like to go to that room, that would be fine, and you could actually participate real time. And we thank you for your patience as this has become such an overflow event. Now, if you notice in the program, I've asked Senator Norment, who represents this Williamsburg region, to come forward, and I'll bring him up in just a minute. He's been a friend for a long time. He's been a public servant for a long time, and he's been a person who really cares about the Commonwealth of Virginia. I had the privilege when I was in local government of serving in a jurisdiction next to him as he chaired the James City County Board. In 1991, he went on to be elected to the Virginia Senate. He's also a trustee here at the Colonial Williamsburg, which is where we're hosting this event. He is professionally an attorney with Kaufman and Knoll's. He also teaches at the College of William & Mary School of Law. And most importantly, he is a very strong pro-business advocate. And Virginia is dependent upon pro-business elected officials. So I'd like for you to know that the Virginia Chamber approved an award, our Distinguished Advocate for Business Award. Please join me in thanking Senator Tommy Norment for his pro-business as we welcome him to the stage. Senator.
Barry, thank you very much for that exaggerated introduction. You would think that as many years as we have been friends that you would know better, but that's probably the kindest things you've said, and so I thank you very much for that. Barry's been a very dear friend for many, many years since both of us were in local government. Barry, you mentioned that there were 902 here, and I could not think of a more appropriate venue to have 902 of the business leaders of the Commonwealth of Virginia here. But I do have a little bit of a bias. As he mentioned to you very briefly, I do have the privilege of serving on the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation Board of Trustees, and we are enormously appreciative that Williamsburg was chosen as the venue to host this, and we're particularly appreciative that it was the Williamsburg Lodge that was selected. But if you think a little bit about the history of this area, that should come as no surprise to you. Some of you are aware that in 1607, Jamestown Settlement was founded, where really the first entrepreneurial undertaking took place in this new world. And surprisingly enough, one of their first industries was glass blowing. And Jamestown remained the capital of Virginia until 1699, after a couple of unfortunate fires took place down there. And the capital of Virginia was then moved to what was known as Middle Plantation, which is now known as Williamsburg. It remained the capital of Virginia until about 1770, and Thomas Jefferson did many wonderful things that we're all aware of as we have studied our history. But one of the greatest things that he did is he signed what was known as the Articles of Removal. And the Articles of Removal removed the capital from Williamsburg to Richmond. And I say, that was a marvelous idea, because the thought of all of these legislators, all of the government relations people, all of these agencies running up and down the Duke of Gloucester Street just causes my heart to fibrillate. So that has really been a great thing. And of course, during that period of time when the colonial capital was here in Williamsburg, the utterances of a possible revolution against the monarchy took place, and it fermented right there on the Duke of Gloucester Street. But at the same time, this community became a very vibrant economic community during that period of time. And interestingly enough, Barry, they were able to do it and create a mercantile system here in Williamsburg without a blueprint. But I compliment the Chamber and all of the sponsors and individuals who put such an extraordinary amount of time in developing this blueprint of Virginia. It is so important that we continue to move forward. We are making progress, and as I look over there and see my colleague Frank Ruff, who's a fellow senator, we in the General Assembly are very proud of what we have done in an effort to try to support and advance economic development in Virginia. Recently, we have shown some progress. There was a point in time when Virginia was recognized as the best state to do business in Virginia as a result of a number of coincidences, including in the Great Recession. Virginia had slipped. We've gone from 7th to 6th, and just recently Forbes magazine recognized us as being 5th. Others have started to recognize that we are in a period of recovery, and I compliment all 902 of you in this room and down the hall for what you have done to improve and sustain the economy of Virginia. It is so incredibly important, and I encourage you to continue to do that. In a little bit, you're going to hear from my friend, who is a lot more insightful than I would ever pray to be, and that's Dr. Bob Holsworth. And he is going to tell you what happened in the recent election. And I look forward to gaining some insight on that, because I'm still trying to figure it out. But also, I want you to know, even though there may be continuing uncertainties in the House of Delegates as they go through recounts and lawsuits and things, that things in the Senate of Virginia remain stable. I do not see that the majority is going to shift in the Senate of Virginia. But the important thing is, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat in the Senate of Virginia, we are going to remain very robust in promoting business and economic development in Virginia. And any suggestions that there's going to be an undermining of Virginia's right to work law will never come out of the Senate of Virginia. Never. There are other critical issues that will be percolating up, and I remember in 1992, which was my first year in the Senate of Virginia. Gosh, I was full of vinegar, and I had the master plan to solve all of Virginia's economic woes at that time. And I very quickly learned, and W. Wynn probably reminded me, is one of the first lessons that you need to learn in business or in public service is know what you don't know. And I very quickly learned what I did not know. But I say that in the context over at the House of Delegates because of the shift that has taken place. There are going to be a lot of interesting pieces of legislation that are going to be coming along. And there is no school that you can be sent to learn how to be a legislator. It is all OJT. And sometimes it is a little bit of a painful experience. But I do feel that the Commonwealth of Virginia is going to be fine. The last thing I would say is I know this afternoon that the Governor-elect Ralph Northam is going to be here. And I say this, that Ralph and I have been friends for many, many years. We share a common heritage in that both of us went to, at that time, an all-male reform school in the Valley of Virginia known as Virginia Military Institute. The good news is that after 4 years, Ralph came out much better behaved than I did. My father sent me to VMI thinking it was going to improve my behavior. You cannot imagine how disappointed he was 4 years later when I was just as bad as the day I matriculated. But Ralph and I have a very close relationship, and I think it's important for those of you that are political junkies in here and who realize the connectivity and the nexus between politics and good public policy, that it's very important for you to understand that on behalf of my Republican colleagues in the Senate, that I have reached out and had a very good conversation with Ralph and have extended to him my unwavering commitment to cooperate in moving Virginia forward on a collaborative and bipartisan basis on those issues that we deem that are important. Of course, we will have some differences, but that's to be expected. We all have constituencies we need to be responsive to. But on those issues that would be important to the 902 of you that are here, we are going to work collaboratively to move Virginia forward. So thank you all so very much.
Thank you, Senator Norment, for your leadership and being the majority leader. We look forward to working with you. I do want to recognize Senator Ruff. Please stand. Thank you so much for your pro-business support. Frank has been a friend of the business community. We'll have other delegates and senators at lunchtime. I was planning to do that, but thank you for being here for the morning program. It's really my pleasure to let you know that I have the privilege of being the president and CEO, but I work for a very powerful and influential and a board that cares about the Commonwealth of Virginia. And each year I have the privilege of working with a new chair. My chair this past year is no stranger to you, but I'll take a moment to introduce him and bring him up for purposes of a greeting. Dennis, I met many years ago when I was serving as Secretary of Commerce and Trade, and he was serving as the agency head for the Department of Environmental Quality. He had previously served in the Assistant Attorney General for Natural Resources at the Virginia Attorney General's office. Dennis served with distinction in our administration and went on to join Smithfield Foods and rose to a very high level, and he now actually serves as president of the Smithfield Food Foundation. He also holds the distinction, only one other person in the history of Virginia that I know that holds this distinction of being chair of the Virginia Chamber and also rector at Virginia Tech, and that was Ben Davenport, who's here today. And in July, the Board of Visitors elected Dennis to be the rector of Virginia Tech. So he holds both offices at the same time. Dennis has done a fantastic job this year and has brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm and vision. And please join me in thanking Dennis Tracy for his service and bringing a greeting.
All right, you hear that? Powerful. That describes us. Hey Barry, check this out. 900 plus people. This is unbelievable. And it's a show of force. It's a show of unity. It's the kind of thing that the Virginia Chamber really promotes and hopes for, and it's happening right in front of your eyes. There's a lot of energy in the room, a lot of energy in the room down the hall, and there's a lot of energy in the business community throughout Virginia. And this is our big moment here for the blueprint that you will see at lunch, and it's a very exciting time. It's my honor to serve as chair. I never thought in a million years that I would have an opportunity like this, but it's important to me. It's important to all of our board members, and we really have executed on our long-range plan, or our strategic plan, which has about 10 points, and we have focused this year on 2, which is improving Virginia's reputation for best state to do business, which involves rankings. You heard some of the discussion just a moment ago about how we're dropping here and there. We want to be number 1. We have always been at the top, and by golly, we're going to do that. And we have a plan in place to make that happen. Much of it is incorporated in the blueprint. The second thing that we focused on this year was developing Blueprint 2025, which is the big reveal is at lunch. And hold your breath. But it's a big document, and I think you'll be really proud and really pleased with what it is. We've accomplished that. Today allows us to check that box, and then we take that document and it lives and breathes and acts as a guide for us for the next few years. Many of you here have contributed to Blueprint. Maybe you hosted one of the 26 regional meetings, or contributed your ideas online, or participated in a poll, or attended one of Virginia Chamber's signature annual events or industry council meetings. I've seen many of you throughout the year at these things. Blueprint Virginia would not be the consensus document it is without the support and contribution of the diverse business community that is represented here in this room and throughout the Commonwealth. You know that old adage, look to your left and look to your right. If you look in this room to your left and look to your right, what you will find is a united business community, more so than ever before in this Commonwealth. You're going to hear today from Go Virginia. There are representatives here from Growth for Virginia, a higher education initiative that supports this plan. The Virginia Economic Development Partnership supports this plan. And all of the local chambers that you see and will hear about today, and many of you are here in the room today, support this plan. We are an energetic and strong business community. This is the kind of thing we're supposed to do. If we don't take ownership of these things, who will? And by golly, our chamber has done just that. I'd like to congratulate and recognize my fellow members of the board of the chamber for their support of Barry, their support of me, as we have continued to grow the economic force of Virginia and improve our competitiveness. We have many of those board members with us here today. Could you all please rise and be recognized? All the board members. We have strong leadership at the chamber. The chamber represents more than 26,000 member companies, and I'm pleased to report that that number has grown every single year that I have been involved with the organization. The business community is strong. On behalf of the board of the chamber, I want to welcome you to the 8th Annual Economic Summit, and thank you for your partnership, and thank you for being here and participating today. Thank you very much.